Hello everyone and welcome back to the RMTV Women's Podcast. This is episode 133. We're in the studio again. This is the third consecutive week that we've been here.
It is, isn't it?
I think it is. So we're going strong so far. Consistency is key. Watch us not.
Comment down below whether you prefer Zooms or IRL.
In real life, that means, for those who don't know. Anyways, a word of warning that this is going to be like a very heavy Liverpool women's based.
I think it's just going to be heavy.
It's just going to be a heavy podcast, I think. But yeah, we're gonna give our views on the situation that happened over the weekend. Obviously, Liverpool have released 5 players. Those 5 are Kirsty Lynette, Amy Rogers, Jess Clark, Amali Thestrup, and Becky Jane. Some really key players for our season. That's just finished. Some surprising. People have left the club, obviously all upon expiry of their contracts. The contracts haven't been renewed. Yeah, I think it's safe to say that there was quite a bit of shock over the weekend about those players leaving and how it went down and whatnot. But yeah, I think we just really want to give our thoughts on it all and just kind of say.
I mean, I think it would be a bit silly for us not at all to say anything because, I mean, you know what? It just gives me flashbacks to overhauls after overhauls at the end of each season. But, like, I think it's like, fair enough that obviously this is a natural thing that happens regardless of whether it's the men's or the women's game. Like, players get released, players get re-signed.
Yeah.
Obviously, there's been, I think, the main situation that's come out of it, I don't think it's necessarily the non-renewal of the contracts. It's obviously the process that's happened. The way it went down, communication between, obviously, the player and the club or whatever. I think that's what everyone's a little bit more outraged about. You know, it's been really, really tough, you know, because not only has it been pretty much a season from hell in some aspects in terms of we got relegated last season and we didn't get promoted this season. We lost the manager. Fair enough, we've got a new manager now, which is exciting, but this is just another thing, like, obviously to add to the list of ever-growing things that have gone on throughout the span of the last 4 years. And I think everyone can probably resonate with the fact that it's really difficult to try and process. And there's obviously so much going on in terms of information that's been put out by not just the players, but then the club as well. It's super hard to sort of, like, digest it all and understand it all and come to some sort of... My head's baffled about it all. Yeah. It really is. And I think probably everyone else is the same. And you know what? I think if we can take anything from it, it's that obviously some of the players I think I'm not as surprised about. I mean, one that stands out for me is probably Jess Clark. I mean, absolute gutting for her to be sidelined by injuries for so long now, season after season. I don't know if she's had a fully fit season at Liverpool in her career. I don't know. Someone would probably be able to tell me. But I think that was I think it's the right decision. I mean, at the end of the day, next season we're going to be pushing for promotion again, and you need a fully fit squad. And you need someone to look at and go, are they going to be fit if I need them off the bench? Or are they going to be fit to start every single week? So when you look at it like that, that's like a smart decision. It's sad because she's been here for 4 years and obviously such a massive player in terms of the history that she's had within the women's game. But I think it's a smart decision, as painful as it. And then you look at Amali Thestrup. I think it's safe to say I love Amali, by the way. Incredible person, always sends us a message and whatever.
Yeah, she's so supportive, isn't she?
I just don't think she got the goals that Liverpool were expecting this season, or that we were expecting this season, to be honest. No. And I think when you're at a club like Liverpool and that expectation that sits on a striker's shoulder, you're probably looking at more than 4 goals in a season. So again, you could argue it. She was very good. The work rate off the ball was insane, but you can see why that decision's been made, can't you?
Yeah, and I think it's important to point out that, like, you know, a new manager has come in. a part of football when a new manager comes in is that he doesn't want to keep certain players, and that's just how football works. It's very much a business as well as a sport nowadays, and if a manager comes in and doesn't want these players or thinks that he can have someone better in that position, then you respect their decision, and that's what they don't want to do. I think the big thing for like a lot of like Liverpool fans over the weekend was just how it was portrayed, how it went down. Now no one will ever know what actually happened, but I think just it didn't make the club look very good over the weekend, and I think there's been a very,
regardless of what's actually gone on, the look is still the same, isn't it?
And I think there's been a very negative stance around Liverpool as a club since last summer.
Even the summer before that.
Even going right back to when Neil Redfern came in and then left after one game, and he was because he had certain things to say about what the club promised and didn't follow up on. Courtney Switman-Kirk, I'd hear say, a few players who left in the summer said it wasn't a nice environment to be in. You take it on the chin. You respect that they didn't want to be at the club, but then for it to again happen a summer later, you see a pattern developing, but then
that's where it gets a bit confusing for me though, because obviously these players that have come out this time round obviously are upset at the fact that they're not staying at the club.
Exactly.
So that's where I think it differs from the season before. I mean, it was very much the season before, like, I want to go away, enjoy my football, enjoy the environment again. Whereas this time, it feels like these players are obviously upset about the fact that they've not been asked to keep on, regardless of performance or whatever. But it feels like it's more the fact that they're not staying, which is what they're upset about.
Yeah.
So, you can look at it either way. But at the end of the day, what I've literally never seen anything like that in football these last few days. No. Regardless of the gender of the players or the sport, men's or women's football, I've never seen anything so massive come out over as what has happened these last few days.
Yeah, and I've never seen so many external people give their views on it as well.
Yeah.
Because obviously there's a lot of people who don't pay that much attention to women's football or Liverpool themselves, and they kind of just, pop up every now and again. But the fact that they also felt the need to sort of speak their opinion over the weekend.
It was all written all over Sky Sports. It was absolutely everywhere.
Yeah.
I almost don't really know how I feel.
You can't, and it's kind of like hard to sort of try and portray what you I don't know whether we're coming across as if we make any sense or not, because
probably not. We never really
do. We probably don't. But you just obviously feel for those players. Like the one for me, out of obviously I'm gutted that they've all left, but for me, Amy Rodgers is a big one.
Yeah.
I think just because of her age and
the role she took up back end of last season as well.
I'd probably say the last 6 games of the season, she was a real key figure for us in midfield.
Mm-hmm.
And I think she's really stepped up this season alongside Bo Kearns, 2 really young, bright midfielders.
Yeah.
Battling it out for us. Obviously for her then to not stay on is, that was a shock for me.
It's I know exactly what you mean. I'm gutted because I feel like she did have a future at Liverpool, but at the end of the day, a different manager who has different views, has different styles, has obviously made that decision. Regardless of whether we like it or not, it's not going to change anything, is it? And I guess the only hope now is that he's going to be able to bring someone in who excels that. That's the goal.
Exactly. You kind of now, it's like, well, okay, don't make it be a mistake at the end of next season that you let these players go. Whoever you feel you're going to bring them, that's going to be better. Make sure they're better.
No, it's on him, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's the thing now.
Make sure they're better because, we don't want another season in the Championship after next year.
No.
That's not the goal, and that's not the goal of the club either. We don't want to be there.
The goal of the club and the reason why Matt Beard is now the manager is because they think he's that one person, or as close as they're going to get to that one person who will get them back into the Championship.
Yeah.
And although, obviously losing players and everything isn't ideal, and it's absolutely horrible because even we've formed tiny little bonds with them along our own journey.
Yeah.
And it's horrible, but I guess we've been calling for change. And if this is what it takes for this change to happen to get the club back to where it should be, it's a what if, isn't it?
Yeah.
Which is the painful thing.
Yeah. I think just the overriding feeling over the weekend was just like,
I just didn't want to go on social media in case there was another one, you know.
It was just one of them. It was like, oh God, like it's just you just never want your club to be in the firing line of something. No. And, you know, obviously at the end of the day, we're just Liverpool fans. Do you know what I mean? We just want to talk about our team.
Yeah. It does kind of feel like 70% of the time we don't end up talking about football because something's like happened.
I feel like majority of this season, we haven't focused on
a
actual game in a podcast. There's always been something, whether not every week Liverpool, there's something else going on in women's football as well, but there's always just been something that is just, you know,
it's not sat right.
Yeah, and I think obviously we went through a whole 6-month thing of having no lockdown manager. You know, with Amber Whitney.
The way you just said lockdown then triggered me a little bit, you know?
Seen you'd be a bit like, you looked at me a bit funny. But yeah, you know what I mean? Like, you had an interim manager, you didn't know what was going to happen. You were kind of kept in the dark about that up until a certain stage, which is, you know, that's fine, that's understandable. But I think it was just a horrible season.
Oh, it was awful.
And then for the season to
finish...
Coupled
with the fact that, like, no one could watch any of the games.
Yeah.
That's like,
yeah. And then for the season to finish, you kind of feel like you're going in a positive direction. You get your new manager. There's, you know, he gives talks about what he wants to do for the club, and then
it's like,
and then something else happens.
It's like you're building a house of cards, and every so often a gust of wind comes and knocks it all down. So then you have to start again.
Yeah.
And that's my analogy of the week.
Sometimes it was kind of like 1 step forward, 3 steps back.
That's another good one. I like that one.
Yeah.
I think mine was better, but I like that one.
You went more in depth with
I went more like creative. I gave hand gestures.
You did. Or do you want me to be like 1 step forward, 3 steps back?
No.
Okay, I've just done that anyway.
Oh, God.
But yeah, you know, it's just hard, isn't it? It's hard. Like, we're obviously gutted for the players.
You know what I actually think's exacerbated? Did we all get that? Exacerbated this current situation is just the sheer tension of this whole past year, regardless of on and off the pitch. Like the world, like everyone wants something to complain about, and I just feel like every single thing has been amplified with the fact that everyone is just hating life. Or I mean, obviously we're like allowed to like leave the house now, but do you know what I mean? Like I feel like everything's obviously built up so much. This is like a giant like release. I mean, social media's been a wicked place over these last few days. Yeah. Especially if you're a Liverpool fan.
So, oh wow, very different emotions over the weekend.
Very different
emotions.
But you know what kind of does upset me a little bit is the fact that when you look around the league in the last few days as well, Spurs let go of 11 players.
Yeah.
Villa let go, I think it was 8 players.
Yeah.
The list goes on. It happens every season in the women's game because contracts are only 1 year long. That's the issue.
Yeah, that's the exact point I was going to make. Yeah. You don't get the security in women's football of having a 5-year deal.
There's just not the money or resources to be able to do that.
If someone signs a 3-year contract, you're like, that is amazing. Whoa. But most of the time, it's a 1-year deal or a 2-year deal, and you know things don't always work out the way they were planned to. But
it's
just one of those things, and
it'd be nice to sort of obviously we've had a lot of tweets, more than I think we have ever had in the duration of this. Do you know what I mean? It was chaotic.
Yeah. It was kind of funny because you've had 6 months of tweets of like, do you know who the manager is? Who's going to be the manager? Yeah. Any updates on the manager? Now it's like, what players are we signing? Who's going to come in to replace this person? Blah blah.
Yeah, it's like I
wish we knew. I really do.
Yeah,
I really wish we knew, but we don't, and that's just
the bottom line.
Yeah, we find out at the same time everyone else does. But like majority of the tweets that we got, especially you sent out a tweet this morning asking for questions, and the majority of them were,
how do we feel about the situation?
How do we feel about this? How do we feel about that?
I want to know what everyone else thinks.
I want to kind of tie this question into what we were speaking about then, though.
Right.
This question it starts off with what's happened with Rinzola, and then the second question is how have things changed in football since we last had Matt in charge? So obviously with Rins, I think she's in active talks with Brighton. That's been announced on Twitter. That's common knowledge for a lot of people. We don't know if she's actually going to sign there, but she's actively in talks with them. So
she's going.
She's been going since January, and we spoke about this a lot more on, I think it was last week's podcast or the week before.
Go check it out.
So go and check that out. But yeah, the second part of the question: how have things changed in football since we last had Matt in charge? I think in terms of the club, I think the club are in a very different place. Obviously, since he was last in charge, with him we won titles. With him, we had trophies. Yeah. We were playing in the top flight. We had a completely different squad apart from I think it's only Ash Hodgson and Rachel Laws who were at Liverpool at the time that he was.
Yeah. You know what I think it is as well, like the difference is that Liverpool were the ones who made that move first, who made the push in women's football. I mean, there were others, don't get me wrong, but when we won it back to back, we were at the forefront of women's football at that point. But unfortunately, what has panned out since then is everyone else has gotten better. Everyone else has caught up to that mark that we'd set. And it does feel like we sort of fell by the wayside a little bit.
Been left behind a bit.
Yeah, I think that's what the main difference is. We were the front runners for a good few years. And everyone else is just, as their own respective clubs have gotten bigger, the women's teams have gotten better. I mean, City, Arsenal, Chelsea, they've all...
Barcelona are a prime example of that.
Exactly.
Of they've only been a real top team for the last couple of seasons, and they won the Champions League two or 3 weekends ago.
Yeah, it's the catching up.
Yeah.
And I think that is ultimately where we've been caught out. While we've been going, like, trugging along, everyone else has been building and building and building.
Yeah.
And surpassed us.
And
that's what it feels like anyways.
And now we're going to get to the point where we want to try and build, but then
we're going to have to catch up back to everyone else who's still going.
Exactly. Yeah. And I think also just the general pressure in women's football has gone up massively.
Tremendous.
That season we won the league. Obviously there was pressure from the club themselves and whatnot, but there's just a lot more of a spotlight on women's football now that does heighten that pressure. And, you do have to be on your A game every single week. Clubs have to pay more attention to what's going on.
But I mean, that's a good thing because it means like women's football is becoming more competitive.
Yeah.
But you want to be at the forefront of that.
Yeah.
You don't want to be these teams that are hanging on, battling relegation week in, week out.
I did not want to be sitting here being like, oh, we're battling again to get promoted. That wasn't what the intentions were. Do you know what I mean? And you've got to then go through it all again. And
rain or shine, we will be here. I just
absolutely, but I just feel like
it's a frustration, isn't it?
It's just like we have to do this again, and that's like no slight on anyone in the championship or the championship itself. It's a very competitive league. We found that out ourselves last season.
Yeah,
and it's going to be even tougher next year. But yeah, like we said, we've just sort of been left behind. I think that's why Matt's come in and he's in a very different position than he was.
He's got a job. He's got a job
on his hands, and I think he can do it.
Definitely.
He's done it. He's done a lot. He's achieved a lot more in football than this. I think he can do it. Obviously, only time will tell. But yeah,
let's move on
to Sophie Bradley Auckland.
That's not a name we've said on this podcast for a very, very long time.
Very, very long time.
That gives me throwback vibes.
Yeah, it does. A heartfelt message was sent out to Liverpool supporters and the club today.
Quite emotional,
Yeah, I was reading it. I was like, oh,
what a woman.
I was like, isn't she lovely?
Isn't she lovely?
Yeah, obviously, Sophie Bradley Auckland decided not to play football throughout the first, obviously, part of the pandemic. She obviously works in a family-run care home, so she made the decision to support that and help out there, and leave football to the side for what she thought wasn't going to be as long as it actually was, as we all did. Obviously, over a year later now, she's obviously had herself a little baby.
Little baba.
Yeah, she's got 2 kids now. And yeah, she's just decided that, Liverpool's not the place for her. to continue her footballing career, which is obviously completely understandable considering her circumstances. Yeah, she sent a heartfelt message out to the fans, and it says, "I've got nothing but good things to say. Liverpool was the club that owed me nothing and gave me everything. I've got everything to thank them for." She is continuing to play. It has been announced today that she has signed for Sheffield United.
Which is fun.
It's
understandable.
Yeah, I think in terms of just like travel time and whatnot, it's the best place for her to be. And Sheffield's like a really good club as well, so she'll
still part-time as well, so it's not as much as of a commitment.
Yeah, so yeah, she likes our there, and we'll get to see her play football next season, which will be really nice.
It'll be really, really nice.
She'll have a little return to Prenton, and hopefully fans will be there to give her a nice little.
I hope so. You know what? She did a lot for the club. I mean, she walked us out at the derby in front of 23,500 people, and you know what I remember vividly about her, that goal line stop she did against Chelsea. Do you not remember the stretch out?
Bethany England.
Yeah, the stretch out.
Was it a Bethany England header, or was she?
It was along the floor. I remember. I can't remember. Was it Chelsea? It was someone. Anyway,
I think it was Chelsea.
It was a goal line clearance. Unreal. But what a woman. I mean, what she's done, not just for the club, but for this country during the pandemic in the care home. Do you know what I mean? Everyone's sort of pulled together. Phenomenal. To be able to give up football as well, to do that. What a woman.
And it's probably also really nice that at the time that she did have to give up football, she maybe thought that, oh, maybe I'll never be able to do it again. And yeah, here she is. I think is she 32,
really,
33?
Really good role model, yeah.
Yeah. So yeah.
All the best.
Wish her all the luck for the future there. Obviously, once the 90 minutes comes, we'll be like, don't like you, Sophie. But afterwards, we'll love you.
We'll be like, ah.
Yeah. We'll move on to another question that someone tweeted this morning. Stephen Wensley asked us, what is the type of player needed to get promotion from the Championship next season?
I have one word. Is it two?
We'll say it and we will find out.
Goal scorer.
That's two.
Is it hyphenated?
Put a little hyphen
Tom,
in it.
is it hyphenated? So it's two words. Okay, I have two words. Goal scorer.
I'm sorry if you were wearing headphones. Then my name is Charlotte.
Sorry.
Goal scorer. Yeah.
Experienced.
Yeah. I think if you look
a good balance.
If you look at the names who have left Liverpool over the weekend, Becky Jean is a very experienced, has got all the right leadership skills that we needed in our squad this season. You need that player mixed in with, like you said, goals. We need to score goals next season. That was our downfall. That was our downfall in the WSL last year. That's why we ultimately got relegated, because we couldn't score the goals to win the game.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, goal scorer, and I just think it's hard to say without trying to be like, you're sounding like really bad about the squad that we've got now, because we have got really good players in our squad, but you just need that extra little bit from someone, that extra little,
actual like,
yeah, and you need that someone that's got that extra little bit of like oomph in them, so that if it is a bad day, you're not gonna think their head's gonna drop.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
I think, I completely agree.
You want a mixture of youth and experience, and I feel like I said that last year. But I think that's ultimately the way forward. You want someone who's, look at Kerry Holland, who came in January.
She came
in with no pressure, no expectations on her shoulders, and she did a phenomenal job. And she's going to be a really key player for us.
Let's just get a Kerry Holland clone.
Yeah, I reckon we just
player up front.
She's going to be like the equivalent of like when Liverpool fans used to sing, "We want a team of Carragers. We want a team of Kerry Hollands.
We want a team of Hollanders."
Sounds like you're saying colander.
I was going for more hollandaise sauce.
Yeah.
I don't even like hollandaise sauce. Is that the one you put with steak?
I don't know.
Or is that peppercorn sauce?
I'm not really a fan of steak, so I don't really eat it.
No, I'm joking.
Tom, is that what you put with steak? Oh, he's just laughing at us. He's just laughing. Yeah, but
that was tough, wasn't it? That was a strange vid. But I
don't
hope
wanna do that
everyone
again.
still
Goes with eggs.
goes with eggs. Interesting.
Oh, is that like Eggs Benedict? Yeah,
Oh,
on it. Now
interesting.
that you've said it, I'm on it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
That's very exciting.
I don't think I'd like that.
I don't really like eggs.
No, I like eggs, but it's lovely, Tom said.
Is it? Oh, it's
Yeah.
nice. Thanks, Tom.
You could be, if you were...
By the way, Tom's there. I'm not just looking up at God for no reason. He's there, so
Yeah.
it's fine.
God's not on that wall. Oh, yeah, Liverpool fans will get that reference.
Nice.
Anyway, if you could be any type of egg, what egg would you be?
Fried.
Really?
Yeah, because I'll get a bit of a tan then. What about you?
I might go for like a poached.
Ooh,
Poached egg.
nice, love that.
Yeah.
Well, that's a nice note to end it on.
It is. I feel like, yeah. Let us know in the comments what type of egg you'd be if you could be any egg. You know, you've got scrambled.
You're a good egg.
You're a good egg.
Thanks.
You've got scrambled.
I
you've
do
got
love
boiled.
scrambled eggs, but I don't know how I'd feel about all my insides being mashed about.
You've got boiled. You've got... You could just go raw.
Ugh. People
know.
shot egg yolks though for like gymnasts.
Yeah, yeah. Be like Gaston. Big and
Or The Rock.
big and strong like Gaston.
Nice. We went two different routes there,
We
but
did,
okay.
but it's fine.
It's fine.
It's okay. Anyway,
moving
we're gonna
on.
end on that note, because it's a nice note to end on. But
Eggs.
yeah, eggs. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. We hope you enjoyed this. Obviously, it was a bit heavy, but you know,
We move.
we move. We've done it now.
We've done it. So we're
I don't want
not
to speak.
doing it again.
Don't want to speak about it again.
Hopefully next time we're on the podcast we're talking about signing. Let's say that.
That would be lovely. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. Remember to like the video, comment, subscribe to the channel. Let us know all your thoughts. Oh yeah, that's right. Let us know
that
all
is
your
right, Gail.
Yeah,
Go
yeah,
on.
sorry. Let us know all your thoughts in the comment section below. And we'll see you all next week with a new podcast. Bye.